Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your Amana washer is stuck on sensing fill and just won't move to the wash cycle, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Good news is that most of these fixes are things you can handle yourself without calling a repair guy. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. All right, so here's what's happening. Your Amana washer normally takes about 3 minutes during the sensing fill stage. It's basically weighing your load and figuring out how much water to add. But if it's been stuck there for more than 10, 15 minutes or seems to be cycling endlessly, we've got a problem to solve. Now, don't panic. This is actually one of the more common issues I see, and a lot of the causes are surprisingly simple to fix. Let's start with the easiest fix. Sometimes your washer just needs a good reset. I had this customer last month who was ready to call in a repair service, and it turned out to be nothing more than a software glitch. Here's the thing about electronic appliances. They can get confused just like your computer sometimes does. The quickest way to clear this up is to unplug your washer from the power outlet or flip the circuit breaker off. Let it sit unplugged for about 5 minutes. Don't rush this part. Then plug it back in and see if that clears things up. You can also try opening and closing the lid 6 times in 12 seconds, or use your cycle selector dial to recalibrate the system. Sometimes it's really that simple and you've just saved yourself a service call. Another common cause is when the sensors get miscalibrated. During that sensing phase, multiple sensors are working together to figure out your load weight and water levels. If the water level sensor is giving bad readings, it might think there's not enough water when there actually is, so it just sits there waiting. The tricky part about sensor problems is they're hard to diagnose, but here's what we're going to do. We'll recalibrate the whole system, which often fixes sensor issues. First, make sure your washer is completely empty and the lid is closed. Start by unplugging the washer for 3 minutes, then plug it back in. Now here's where it gets specific. Rotate your cycle selector knob counterclockwise several times and set it back to normal. You'll want to follow these steps carefully as the timing is crucial. Within 3 to 6 seconds, you're going to rotate the selector in this exact sequence. Clockwise 1 click, wait half a second, clockwise 1 click, wait half a second, clockwise 1 click, wait half a second, counterclockwise 1 click, wait half a second, then clockwise one more click. If you did it right, all the LED lights should start blinking. Then rotate the dial clockwise until only the rinse LED is on and hit start. The washer will run through its recalibration process. Water supply issues cause a huge chunk of these sensing fill problems. Your Amana washer won't start the wash cycle if it's not getting enough water. That's just how it's designed. The most common culprits are blocked inlet screens, water valves that aren't fully open, or low water pressure. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten called out just to find that someone only had their hot or cold water valve partially open. Start by checking both your hot and cold water valves. Make sure they're completely open. Then check your water pressure by turning on a nearby faucet and seeing if the flow looks normal. You'll also want to locate and inspect the inlet screens where your water hoses connect to the washer. First, turn off your water supply and disconnect the hoses. You'll need pliers for this. If those screens are clogged with sediment, you're going to get restricted water flow. Clean them under running water and use a soft brush or old toothbrush to remove any stubborn buildup. This usually takes about 5–10 minutes. Here's one that catches a lot of people off guard: the shift actuator. This little component is responsible for shifting the transmission between different cycles, and during sensing fill, it has to engage to get that agitator or impeller rotating. You'll find it at the bottom of your machine, and when it goes bad, your washer just won't proceed to the wash cycle. Look for any visible cracks or damage on the actuator itself and check the wires and connections going to it. You can test it with a multimeter if you've got one, but honestly, if it looks damaged or the connections are corroded, it probably needs replacing. The part runs about 20 to $100 depending on your model, which beats a service call any day. The water inlet valve is another sneaky culprit that hides inside your washer. Once your machine figures out how much water it needs, the control board sends electrical signals to open these valves. Think of them like electronic faucets. When they receive power, they open to let water through. Sometimes one or both valves just get stuck or won't respond to the electrical signal anymore. You'll find these valves where your water supply hoses connect to the washer. Look for any visible cracks, leaks, or blockages around the valves and check the electrical connections. With the washer unplugged and hoses disconnected, you can test for continuity across the solenoid terminals with a multimeter. If they're bad, you'll need to replace them. They're not designed to be repaired. Don't overlook the lid lock mechanism. Your washer has safety systems that prevent it from operating if the lid isn't properly locked. Sometimes the lid switch goes bad or gets misaligned, and the washer thinks the lid is open even when it's closed tight. This switch is usually located underneath the lid, and you can often spot problems just by looking at it. If it's cracked, corroded, or not making proper contact, that could be your issue. Test it by opening and closing the lid while listening for the click. You should hear it engage each time. If the switch is bad, it's usually a pretty straightforward replacement. Sometimes the problem goes deeper into the mechanical components. The drive belt connects your motor to the transmission, and if it's broken, stretched, or slipped off, your washer can't complete the sensing process properly. Pop off your front or rear panel, depending on your model, and take a look at that belt. It should be tight and properly seated on all pulleys. If it's loose, cracked, or missing altogether, that's going to need replacing before your washer works right again. While you're in there, check that the motor isn't making unusual noises or showing signs of failure. Motor problems are more expensive to fix, but they're not super common on these machines. The control board is basically the brain of your washer, coordinating all these different components during the sensing fill process. When it goes bad, it might not be sending the right signals to open water valves or advance to the next cycle. Control board problems can be tricky to diagnose because the symptoms often look like other issues we've already covered. If you've tried all the other fixes and nothing's working, the control board might be the culprit. Unfortunately, this is one of the more expensive parts to replace. You're looking at about $200 to $600 depending on your model. Here's a quick rule of thumb. If your washer is over 7 years old and the repair costs more than half of a new machine's price, it's usually better to replace the whole unit. That's how you tackle an Amana washer stuck on sensing fill. Here's your troubleshooting order. First, try the 5-minute reset. This fixes about 30% of cases. Next, check your water supply and clean those inlet screens. If you're still stuck, try the sensor recalibration process. Finally, inspect the physical components like the lid lock, shift actuator, and inlet valves. Most of the time, one of these fixes will get you back up and running for way less than calling someone like me out. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your Amana washer working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.